Hello everybody, it's your boy Cap, and if you've been following my Twitter, you'd know that a couple weeks ago I actually canceled my iPhone order. Partly because I don't really need a new phone right now, but another thing was that I realized I was actually very close to buying a dedicated camera. And that's a pretty big deal for me, because here's the thing. For the last, I don't know, 6 years that I've been on YouTube, yeah, that sounds about right. Like, I've had channels before, they all kind of died, but I've always used a phone camera to record all my content. And as time went on, like, I saw other creators use actual, like, dedicated cameras for this stuff, you know, DSLRs, mirrorless stuff. Tell you what, some of the people that are really serious about this, they have, like, full-blown cinema cameras, which cost tens of thousands of dollars. It's really insane, honestly. But here's what really pissed me off. The fact that because of how good phone cameras have gotten in the last couple of years, I mean, literally, just look at the Google Pixel, for example, literally one of the best cameras ever made on a phone. People's standards for cameras have dropped, and I mean base Skrillex dropped. I mean Hiroshima nuclear bomb dropped, okay? That kind of drop. Because people now just assume that a phone is automatically the best option for anybody trying to record video. And here's where this personally has affected me, because, sidetrack, about a year ago, I tried to do a film project, and this was supposed to be, like, a pretty big thing, guys. I was gonna get, like, actors for this. We were gonna pay people. We were gonna raise money through crowdfunding. I was gonna get equipment for this and, like, buy a bunch of stuff that we needed for this, and it was a pretty big thing, basically. But then, and at one point, it was actually, like, very good. I had 12 people on board. I had a script ready, and it was great. But then, as a couple weeks went on, I kind of started missing deadlines, and the project started falling apart. And here's the thing, a lot of people ended up leaving, especially those actors, because a lot of them said they didn't have time, which I think is really stupid. I literally told them it would take a single weekend to film. Like, I don't know how you don't have time for a couple hours on a weekend. And to be fair, I completely went over ambitious with this. Like, it probably would have taken a lot more than a weekend. But you shouldn't assume the worst, right? But anyways, at one point I only had 4, like, people left on my team, and I had to, like, rewrite the script a bunch of times to, like, have 4 characters in it. It was kind of stupid. But basically, these guys wouldn't help me raise money, because again, we were going to have money for this so that we could actually buy good equipment. And they all told me to just use my phone. And that's where this kind of ties in, because people just assume that a phone is good enough, which, it's really not, guys. And I could go into details about how, like, a camera is better because of, like, technical stuff, but that's boring. What I'm going to say is that a camera, if you've ever seen, like, a DSLR, you see that it has, like, a pretty long lens usually, there's a reason for that. Because, guys, DSLRs have actual proper optics. There's, like, actual rings on the lens so that you can adjust, you know, the amount of light going in, the focus distance, which is actually what optical zoom is, basically. Now, if you have a prime lens, then that's different, but, You just get a lot more stuff on a DSLR than you would ever get on a phone. And phone companies are getting ridiculous too now. Like, you have a phone with 5 cameras on the back, and obviously they add these in for, like, extra camera modes, like, you know, wide angle, telephoto. You got macro in some of them. And honestly, it's just the stupidest thing, because guess what? You can put as many cameras as you want on the back of a phone for, like, different photo types. A single dedicated camera is sufficient for all of them. And that's just a fact. And people have actually gotten mad at me for bringing this up, because they're like, oh, well, I don't want to carry around, like, a heavy DSLR. Like, I'd rather just have my phone for, portable photography, and, like, it's good enough for me. And you know what? If it's good enough for you, if you just want, like, good quality photos, then yeah, a phone camera is perfectly fine. Like, take a look at this, guys. I took this in, like, France, I think, a couple months ago. Yeah, so this is on a $100 phone, guys. And that's kind of crazy. You know, the colors are good, there's a lot of detail, and really, that's great. But the thing is, like, we're already up to that point. I don't see why we're trying to do more stuff with this. There's really no point in trying to improve something that does not have a lot of further potential. I don't know, it's kind of like constantly upgrading a Civic for drag racing instead of, you know, buying an actual muscle car. Wait, but don't people already do that? Okay, then. Yeah, it's kind of funny watching people brag about how their, like, S20 Ultra has ×4 optical zoom, even though that's literally as far as it's ever going to get. And obviously, with a camera, you can do a lot more than that. ×50, sometimes even ×100, I think. So it's kind of insane. I'm not really sure what the deal with that is. And phones having, like, telephoto that's, like, extremely weak. I think it's a waste of money. And honestly, yeah, companies spend way too much time on cameras is what I'm basically getting at. Why don't you spend more time, I don't know, improving the battery or adding a headphone jack? How about that? Yeah, there's just so much stuff. And honestly, I feel like people should kind of look into why, cameras are actually a much better investment if they want good photos. Yeah, when you see some chick post a selfie on Instagram in portrait mode, you think her phone camera actually took that? No, her phone just photoshopped her background to be blurry. Because guess what? Phone cameras aren't optically capable of taking blurry backgrounds. And a dedicated camera is. So that's just like another thing. And it's actually because of like the sensor in the phone or the camera that actually takes the photo. And like, again, technical stuff, that's boring. So basically what I'm getting at is cameras have more features than the ones that you find in phones because of the way they're built. So people should really look into that and like why it could be potentially a better investment. And yeah, they sell like lens kits for phones, but it's really not the same thing. You still do not get like nearly as much functionality out of that as you would get out of a, changing the lens on a camera, for example. And yeah, that's another thing. With a phone, you can't really change the stock lens that it has. Like, you're kind of stuck with what you have. But on most cameras, or DSLRs at least, you can actually swap out the lens for like a different one that has, different properties for something. But whatever, long story short, guys, you don't have to use your phone camera for everything. If you have the money, I do think that buying an actual camera is a good investment, especially if you learn how to use it well. And I guess that kind of wraps up today's video. So I hope you enjoyed. Please do hit that like button and subscribe. And when I do save up for this camera, I might actually be pushing out some footage, so that's kind of cool. And yeah, peace out, everybody.